So one of the techniques that I can't say that I've developed it. Like so many teacher ideas, I stole it. I was listening to a podcast one day, and it was an interview of an author, and the author's name, I don't remember, but the book is called Neural Tribes. And it's kind of the leading book on autism right now. So if autism and kind of the history of autism and how historically we've classified people with autism is of interest to you, I would highly recommend checking out the book. And there'll be a link to that below this video. But anyway, I was listening to a podcast, and Terry Gross from Fresh Air was interviewing this book's author. And one of the things that he talked about that really struck me was that in researching the book, he attended a national conference put on for and by people with autism. And so when he went to the conference, like we all go to conferences, right? We stand in line at the table with the letters for our last name to get our conference packet. And when he got his conference packet, there was a lanyard with a name tag like every other conference. But the thing that was different, that the piece of paper in the plastic lanyard with his name on it, there wasn't just one piece of paper, there were several, and they were color-coded. And the color-coded represented the level of social interaction that the wearer was comfortable with. One of the things that we know about autism is that communication and social interaction can be more challenging. And so this gave the conference attendees a symbol to reflect to everyone else what sort of social interaction they were comfortable with. And, you know, some of them, the symbol may have been, you know, I really don't want to talk to anybody. Another one may have been, you know, I'm comfortable with small talk. Or another one would have been, I'll talk to you about anything except small talk. And as I was listening to this, I thought, boy, this would be great. I wish that I could wear a tag on my lapel every day that gave people my day-to-day level of comfort and what I was willing to talk about. And so as I thought about that, I thought about how I engage in class. And I've been teaching at the college level for about 15 years now, a little less. And the thing that I've learned is I'm having a harder time remembering names because my students are starting to blend together a little bit. I've taught lots of sibling groups, and so I'm constantly, you know, calling a younger sibling by an older sibling's name. And so I started a couple of years ago creating little table tents, right? So this is just a piece of cardstock, and I write all the students' name on it, and I hand this out at the beginning of my lecture. It also becomes the way that I keep track of attendance, because if I don't hand your name tag out, you weren't there. But based on this interview that I heard, now I hand out 3 of these table tents. So Colette's a student I had last semester who would take great enjoyment out of the fact that I used her as the example. And so this is a green sheet, and this is a yellow sheet, and this is a red sheet. Each sheet has the student's name on them. And so when I hand them out at the beginning of class, they pick which of the 3 table tents is visible. And so maybe I'm a student who I'm in class because I want to attend class and I want to get the information, but I've for some reason I have not had a good day. And so basically the best I can do is show up for class. And so I might be a red that day, which signals to me then as the instructor, that person's struggling with something. I don't need to know what that is, but I do want to be aware that they are struggling, so I don't call on them randomly, right? This is just an indication for me as the professor, you know, don't call on me. I'm here, I'm listening, but I don't want to talk today. And the yellow is sort of an in-between. And so I tell the students, if you're a yellow, that means, you know, you're here and you want to be here and you're engaged, but you don't want called on unless you've raised your hand. And almost never is a student red even multiple days in a row, certainly not all the time. I do have some students that are yellow every day. They're just not the people that are ever comfortable talking in class. I don't know this unless they tell me. This becomes a really quick way for them to tell me. And then of course the green, right, because I've gotten real original with my traffic light here. The green is like, call on me anytime, pick on me anytime. I'm happy to be a part of the class discussion. And so this is just something I've started doing. I found that it works super well. One day in the fall, I walked into class and like everybody was yellow. There was just this river from the front side of one side of the classroom all the way diagonal to the back. And I walked into class and I saw that and I thought, okay, wait a second, what's going on? And so these people aren't usually yellow. And so I said to the group, I was like, how many of you are first year students? And almost everyone that was newly yellow raised their hand. And this became the opportunity for me to talk about October. Now, I have the theory that October is the worst month in the academic calendar. Some people say it's February. I actually have a really good argument that it's October, because when we come to school in August, especially if we're new students, we're so excited about something new that we start way up here, and then October is our crash way down here. Where when we come back in the spring, we're just not that, we don't have that same level of adrenaline. So February may be a bad month, but relatively it's not as bad as October. I also like to be clear that I believe October begins on October 1st and ends right after your last final in December. And so I don't know how many conversations I've had over the years with individual students that, you know, October is not the time to drop out of school. October is probably not the time to break up with your significant other. October is just one of those months that we all kind of fight to get through. And so I could have this conversation with all these students because all these students had communicated to me, I'm a yellow today. And so there's tons of benefits that I found from doing this to sort of get individually where people are, to know the level of social interaction that students are comfortable with class, and to know if something's going wrong, right? If I've got somebody that's read a couple days in a row that's never been read before, that might be an after class conversation, or maybe just an email saying, hey, I've noticed this. If you need to talk to somebody, let me know. So just a little tidbit, something that I use in class, and maybe you'd benefit from as well.